And I really appreciate that you took the time to go through that, because this is really important to get this across, is that you need to be able to deal with the situation that comes, and you need to deal with it in the way that comes. And you'll notice I just did that. Now, that wasn't planned. I'm quite glad that I didn't have a lot of water in my glass. Damien Andrews here for the NextGen Sales Masterclass, and today we're going into the stratosphere. We're going to spacewalk to success. What we're talking about is high stakes presentations and how we pitch that. Pitching into the cosmos is where we're going to go. And the reason I want to go there is because a lot of times when we're talking about high stakes, we get caught up in a whole bunch of pressure. And this is where it can be really, really challenging, because we start to lose that confidence that we have. We start to get really worried about it, and our focus shifts. And this is where those sales pitches come across. Because when we're talking about sales, we're talking about building trust. Can you build that trust? Do the people believe you can do what you say you can do? If they have a need, and they believe that you can do what you say you can do, then the deal is done. It's pretty straightforward. Once you tick those two boxes, it happens. But in those high stakes situations, when it's all on the line, do you have the ability to actually stay in that moment to be able to deliver? And this is where, from when you're operating in that space, it's really, really important to understand the difference between conscious action, conscious understanding, and unconscious action. They're two very different things. We've all had that. I'm pretty sure we've all had that. There might be some people out there don't, but most people have had that situation where they believe that they understand something and they know it, and then they go and do it, and they surprise themselves with how well they didn't do. They're blown away by that. And then you've had the opposite situation. No doubt we didn't think you understood it that well, and surprised yourself with how well you actually did do. And that's a really important point to pay attention to, is that when we're acting, we're not acting from our conscious mind. And this is really important to understand, is that we're acting from an unconscious mind, and there's so many other factors that come into play here. And if you ever want to have that experience of understanding what high pressure is like, I'm not sure how you deliberately do this, but in any time that you have to stand up in a court and speak, court's a very, very intimidating place. And to be able to stand up and speak there was a number of times with some cases that I've worked on where I did the representation, had to talk, and it's an extremely intimidating place. And I noticed from my perspective as well, there was a time when we were doing that online, which was working well, and I got really good at that. And then when we went back to going in person, all of a sudden I was almost stumbling around. I was surprised at how that skill had gone, but not, it wasn't, well, that skill had gone, but how much I was intimidated by the physical presence of that place. And that's where we're dealing with these high pressure sales situations, is the presence of around us, not only the stakes that are involved, the location that we're in, there's all these different factors that affect how we can present ourselves. And from that side of things, you need to be in that mindset. One of the biggest things you can do to put yourself in the right mindset is just to take your time, slow everything down. We hear about that a lot when they talk about mindfulness, that kind of thing, is to be able to slow things down so you can take the time that you need to take to actually get to where you need to go. And many times you'll find, and this is where it's a self-awareness thing, Being good at sales is purely self-awareness, noticing what you're doing and then being able to respond. And from that perspective, if you're in that high stakes situation, just a simple thing of sitting back, taking, you might take a glass of water, have a drink. I've got to have some water. I've got water now. Take a drink. And all of a sudden, the situation calms down unless you haven't got it the right way. And then you have a cough. And these are the kind of things that you need to deal with. And what I'll do now is I'm going to pause it because I'm going to cough really loud. I'm going to mute the sound so I don't annoy you. And I really appreciate that you took the time to go through that, because this is really important to get this across, is that you need to be able to deal with the situation that comes, and you need to deal with it in the way that comes. And you'll notice I just did that. Now, that wasn't planned. I'm quite glad that I didn't have a lot of water in my glass, because that was just throwing that in there. And two, that when I did drink it, it actually went down the wrong hole and made me cough. These are the things that you deal with in real life situations when you're dealing with sales in high pressure situations, is that you need to be able to take that time to own it, not get flustered by it. Take the time, sit back and relax. And as you can see now, from my perspective, I'm actually back in that space where if you rewind the video just a little bit and see where the water went the wrong way, and all of a sudden I'm going, okay, how am I going to deal with this? That's exactly how you deal with it in those high pressure situations. You own it. You don't pretend that it shouldn't be. It is what it is. And you'll deal with that situation best by not pretending things that shouldn't be there, is by staying focused on where you're going, taking the time to relax, to deal with things calmly, stay focused on your direction, and stay when you're in that direction is, offering a solution to your client's problem or potential client, and staying focused that way. Because then if you do that, you can then listen to what's going on. Sales is all about listening. You need to listen, and you can't do that if you're all stressed. So that's where you need to take that time to relax. In those high pressure presentations, high pressure situations, you need to relax, focus on where you're going, and take the time to clearly step that out. This is Damien Andrews for the NextGen Sales Masterclass, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next video.